Thank you, Colonel Pettit. Sir, the Army's 2010 report on health promotion, risk reduction, and suicide prevention outlined a system of care to mitigate key risk factors for suicide and PTSD. We've made considerable progress since the publication of this Red Book, especially in comprehensive soldier fitness and suicide prevention train downs. But we still have a lot more work to do to realize General Corelli's vision. The idea was to create a holistic, multidisciplinary approach toward soldier wellness. We're not quite there yet, so the Red Book is still very relevant on JBLM. Some ongoing challenges we face include coordinating services when multiple small issues compound and multiply to impact a soldier's well-being. We're still struggling to incorporate resiliency training into our ongoing operational military activities. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, we struggle to measure the effectiveness on improved readiness of the resiliency programs. Even for service members who have received every minute of required training, we're not entirely sure that these programs are achieving their operational readiness. Sir, leader engagement is key to resiliency training. While mentoring counseling has always been important and key to developing junior soldiers, in these times of very complex missions and very difficult operational environments, assertive leadership is vital to making sure these programs happen. This is true downrange, but even more true here in garrison. Today we will give an example of how a leader can engage with a soldier in the course of their operational training. This will be a typical case of a soldier facing multiple risk factors. Much like some of the soldiers we talked about earlier today. We're going to observe an informal counseling between a squad leader and one of his subordinate NCOs. But rank doesn't really matter. The same techniques or the same approach could be used with a first sergeant developing a first-term soldier. This could even be a colonel providing mentoring to a junior officer. What's critical to, yes, sir. What's critical to observe is how these soldiers are incorporating developmental counseling into their daily activities. And you're going to see how this leader is asking open-ended questions and then sitting back and waiting for the response to gain additional information. Sir, we have an excellent resiliency program as applied to military tasks. I think we're still seeing a gap in terms of the application in terms of overall lifestyle. For example, a soldier who's been to Ranger School may have excellent skills when it comes to overcoming battlefield adversity, but then will go home and doesn't know how to have a discussion with their wife about a difficult topic. So this is what we're actually seeing. What's getting these soldiers is not operational tactical considerations. What's bringing these soldiers down are issues that happen outside of the training duty day. And that's what we're going to get into today. And I think a little piece of this is the new R2 system is really designed to integrate that, to look at a soldier holistically, their entire life, including their off-duty hours. And there is a role for military leadership in doing that. Sir, at this time, I'd like to bring up Captain Caleb Sheffield from 114 CAV for a demonstration on leader-engaged counseling.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. As you said, my name is Captain Caleb Sheffield. I'm Crazy Horse 6 from 114. I asked two of my most experienced NCOs who are very experienced with the verb to slirt somebody. If everybody knows it, they've done more slurts than anybody around. And now they're voluntold to do this, and they've done a great job with it. Right now, Staff Sergeant Chris Moore is going to be a section leader, squad leader, who's mentoring, counseling Staff Sergeant Enoch Moore. Thankfully, they're easy to tell apart, as you can see, because one is a mortarman and one is a scout. I don't know what you all were thinking, but that's how I tell. Now, the skit initially begins in a training meeting because any good counseling should start on the long-range calendar. With calendars as turbulent as ours, if you don't plan it, it's not going to be done right. So at the end of our training meetings, we'll always talk about where the friction points are coming up so that we can help our platoon leaders and platoon sergeants push down to their level when you can do counseling and when guys can get help. So you'll see this character, Enoch Moore, is a fictional character with very real issues that all of us are going to hear and be very familiar with. So without further ado, scene. All right, gents, get your notes ready. This is the last slide for the training meeting. As you can see, coming into February, we're going to have section sticks out in TA 8. We're going to go straight into table 1 and 2, generally in the motor pool, VBS 3. And that'll get us ready for the YTC railhead operations. We'll head out to YTC, be there for 3 to 4 weeks, doing crew research, of course, table 3 and 6, but then we'll end with table 12, gunnery. Interesting thing about this is right when we get back, we're going to go rail download, which means some of you guys will have to stay behind and push things out on trains. The rest of you will come back here, and download will be simultaneous with prep for platoon X evals. So once we get back in April, the new squadron commander can evaluate the sections and platoons in X evals. If we were to continue this over here, you'd see that coming out of X evals at the end of at the end of April, you're going to jump straight into cadet summer training at Fort Knox. So how that water falls out is still a little wishy-washy right now. Just know that in May, you'll most likely be in Kentucky training cadets and getting them ready to be the platoon leader you always wish you had. You may come back in June to support 2-2, metal sharpening metal, sending them to NTC. And then once they're complete, you may, half of you most likely, will go back to Fort Knox for the remainder of July and August. Make sure that you stress to your guys that not only is this what they signed up for, but this is exactly why less than 1% do the job. It's exactly why we can be proud of what we do, all right? So make sure you pitch it right and don't bah humbug a turbulent training cycle, all right? The other reason I tell you this is the most important, and that's this space, which is white but will not be referred to as white space, is time for your guys to go get help for their families at JBLM. This is time for them to do preventive maintenance on their finances, their friendships, their marriages, any of that stuff, all right? This, in yellow, is your counseling time. This is when you're in an OP with the guy. It's when you're in a truck with the guy. This is when you have time to, in a strange way of putting it, catch him off guard, make him be honest, all right? Get inside his head when he's not expecting to be slurted, okay? That way, when he gets back and he's got time at JBLM, he can actually execute the maintenance. If you're taking this time to conduct an interview, he's not getting the help he needs, all right? Before we go out to this training, just remember that problems are not fine wines, right? Bad finances is not a fine wine. It doesn't get better with time. When we come back, things can be worse unless you take the steps now to get it better, right?
Hey, soldier, make sure you put that helmet on before you climb on top of that striker, and you better get that TM out before you start doing that PMCS.
Hey, Sergeant Moore.
Hey, what's up,
Tomorrow during lunch, do you want to go hit up the gym?
Yeah, I've got that plan.
Okay. Troop gym at 11:30.
11:30.
Do some upper body. All right. See ya.
Sounds good. Come on, button your trim strap, dude.
All right, this is a time when Staff Sergeant Moore needs to go back and prepare for counseling. Just like a good AAR, it takes preparation. So he's going to pull out LESs, ERBs, past counseling, and he's going to go through this 30-question slurt and hone in on the few questions he actually needs to ask because he knows his guy. He knows most of those questions. He knows the answer to them already. He doesn't need to ask them in a check-the-box fashion. So you can see he highlights, hey, man, I know he drinks. We've done it safely together for years. I know he's talked before about some financial stuff. I want to see if that's gotten better. He's always asking himself, I know he's good on these, but what don't I know about? And then this way he can build something that may look like this, a mind map. This will help him be a little more stealthy in how he communicates in this counseling. He knows they just came back from a deployment. He knows he drinks. He knows how he suffered when he was an E4 with sleep after deployment. He knows that they both like guns. He maybe will recommend shooting together. That will answer some of the questions on the slurt. This type of mind map helps him to be able to do the counseling effectively in a sneaky fashion.
Ready to get this workout, Big Sergeant?
You know it.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, so did you ever get that AR-15 that you were looking at on deployment?
No, I had to put it on the back burner. My wife ended up spending a lot more money than I thought she would while we were deployed, so I'm still gonna get it. Just gotta wait a little bit longer.
Let's start off with overhead press.
Oh, you gonna start with that little bitty weight?
Yeah. Well, did you at least bring your guns from back home up?
Oh yeah. Like the week after we got back, I went down there and grabbed those guns. I brought them back. Matter of fact, I went shooting this weekend. It was a pretty good time.
Nice. The next time you go, hit me up. I'll come with you.
Sounds good. Love to.
Yeah. All right, let's do some curls.
Curls. One of these days, I'm gonna go to the gym. You gonna lift something real.
Yeah. How's your wife doing?
She's doing all right. You know, she's always talking about how she's homesick, misses the family, doesn't like the area too much. I did know she's been spending a lot of time on Facebook though. She's talking to this one guy we both knew from high school. I don't know. It seems weird, but I'm sure I was gone a long time. I'm sure it'll blow over. It should be all right.
Have you all done anything fun since you've been back?
Like I said, she doesn't like the area. I keep trying to get her to go out and hang out with some military spouses or whatnot, but she ain't the people kind of person, sits around the house. She has been talking about trying to get kids though, trying to have kids, and I keep trying to tell her, we can't afford kids. We don't have anything in savings right now. And I keep trying to tell her, kids are expensive. That's not something you just have because you want a kid.
So y'all have talked about it?
Oh yeah. I keep telling her it's a crazy idea. And on top of that, she can't stop spending money. I got the credit card bill the other day, I think it was $500. I lost it. I was mad. I was yelling, she was yelling. It got pretty crazy for a minute. But, you know.
Did the MPs get called?
No.
Okay.
Oh, let's be real, Sarn. MPs get called, somebody's going to jail. And it's probably going to be me.
Probably, right. Yep. All right, let's do some push-ups.
Push-ups. Last one to 100 is a rotten egg. 99, 100, 102, 106. Where you at, Sarn? I
100.
did 106.
You beat me again. So, yeah, I had the same problems when I came off my deployment. You know, finance, wife on Facebook all the time, spend all my money. But the thing that really bothered me was my sleep schedule. Took a while to get back on track. How's yours doing?
You know, everybody was talking about you need 8 hours of sleep. 8 hours of sleep, that's a myth, Sarn. Like, I get a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours a night, and I'm fine. You know? I wake up a lot of times I wake up between like 2 and 3 in the morning. But if I can't fall back to sleep, that's just more time to get my uniform ready, go and check on Joe, make sure they took the garbage out, you know, that sort of thing. They always need some supervision up there.
Yeah, whenever I get into work at 05, you're just sitting in your car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get ready to start the day, you know, Sarn.
Yeah. So you're waking up at 2 a.m.? Have you thought about taking any sleeping aids?
You know, I tried that one over the counter. What was it? Unisom. I tried Unisom. And it worked at first, and then it kind of, I still wake up early, but I just be groggy. So I stopped taking that. Like, now I just wake up groggy and trying to do stuff on them. No, it ain't worth it.
Have you hit up the PA for some sleep meds?
I talked to him, and he prescribed this one, I think it was Ambien or something. It wasn't as bad as Unisom. I'll still wake up sometimes, but not as groggy. I do know that if I, take a Ambien, chase with a couple shots of Jack, that usually put me out all night.
Let's do overhead press again.
Overhead pressing, let me bump that weight up, right?
Yeah. Man, sounds like you got a lot on your plate, man. How you coping with all that?
You know, sometimes it's hard, Sarn, you know. That's a lot, just especially coming back. Wife wants kids, we ain't got no money in the bank, and then the whole sleep thing. Seems like it gets harder and harder to get out of bed every morning.
It's like you're tired or feeling burned out.
Really, it's a combination of both. Sometimes I wonder, is it really worth going on, you know?
Have you thought about killing yourself?
No, I'm good, Sarn. I'm good. You know, there's this old saying, this too shall pass, you know, so I'm gonna keep driving on. I'm gonna keep going.
Okay, yeah. I mean, might sound like a cliche, but I've used some of those Army programs, you know, when I got off deployment and since then, and they worked for me. So they might work for you too. So if you want to go talk about it later.
Sounds good, son.
All right, let's go stretch out over here.
Let's do it.
All right, at this time, Staff Sergeant Moore is now responsible for following up, looking at the things, the risk factors that the SLRT offers us. And you can see that his follow-up looks totally different from what he expected because he allowed the conversation to flow. You can see he identified, you know, confirmed the financial and familial issues, mentioned some boy from high school, which might be, you know, infidelity, trust, boundary discussions they can have with a chaplain or a MIFLIC. But this type of handwritten, personalized, compassionate analysis is what we're looking for. It's now obviously incumbent on Staff Sergeant Moore to continue to be compassionate, concerned, legitimately concerned, and care for his teammate. However, I don't, at my level, push the guys to put this stuff on them during the counseling, because once you get them talking, just keep them talking. You know, the moment you come at our level and say, hey, here's the solution, it's like our wives. You know, she doesn't want the fix right now. She just wants you to listen, you know, so we try to push that same idea on them because they can relate, like, oh man, this guy just wants to talk. So I might pepper in a couple of things about Army programs, but it might not be until 2 or 3 days later that he gets introduced to some of the programs that you're going to see in follow-up discussion.